So on the one hand, you have the Canon R50V. On the other, the Canon R50. So what are the real differences between these two cameras, and which one should you get? The truth is that the R50V and the original R50 are pretty much the same exact camera, but the V stands for video, so it does have a few extra features that make it pretty awesome for filmmakers and videographers. But the problem is that it lacks some basic photography features that are found in the R50. But don't worry, we're gonna sort all this out, and by the end of the video, you should know exactly which camera is better for you. Now me personally, I shoot more videos than I do photos these days, so let's talk about that first. The R50V is the most affordable Canon camera that includes C-Log, so that's pretty exciting for filmmakers and videographers on a budget. C-Log is Canon's flat picture profile that gives you more wiggle room when color grading. The R50V not only shoots in C-Log, but it does it in 10-bit color. This means you'll get smoother gradients and less banding when filming the sky. And it can even shoot 120 frames per second in 10-bit, giving you killer slow motion. But to be fair, the R50 also gives you 10-bit, but only in HDR PQ. Now I know that it sounds like the R50V has the R50 beat, but hang tight, because there are a few advantages to the R50. But before I get into those, let me continue with the R50V, because I am more of a video guy. The next exciting feature in the R50V is the ability to bake in LUTs. And if you're not familiar with what a LUT is, it's basically a plugin that you add to your footage to give you a stylized cinematic look without spending hours on color grading. For me, my custom LUTs are like my secret sauce, which is why I use them on almost everything I shoot. And if you want to check out my custom LUTs and Lightroom profiles, you can grab them off of my website for only 15 bucks. So the R50V lets you bake the LUTs into your footage in camera, whereas the R50 only allows you to add them in the editing process. The last major video advantage of the R50V is the record limit. It's been bumped up to 2 hours instead of the 1 hour limit on the R50. This doesn't mean that the R50 can't make videos that are longer than an hour. It just means that after an hour is reached, you're gonna have to get up and hit the record button again. Now most people record clips that are only a few minutes long and then piece everything together in the edit. So this is only an issue if you intend to record interviews, podcasts, or events that need uninterrupted footage. And the truth is, there's no real reason that either one of these cameras should have any record limit at all. But I guess 2 hours is better than 1. Now there are a few other minor video advantages that aren't that big of a deal, but they are worth a quick mention. The first one is the tally light on the R50V, which is just the light on the camera that lets you know when you're recording. And believe me, it sucks to sit down in front of the camera and talk for 45 minutes just to realize you forgot to hit the record button. The R50V also has a headphone jack for monitoring audio. And lastly, the camera has an extra mounting point on the side for vertical shooting. I don't shoot any shorts, but if that's something you're into, then it's a welcome addition. Now I have to say that as much as I like the R50 and the R50V, I do have a bone to pick with Canon. But before I get to that, let me first discuss the advantages that the R50 has over the R50V. The first thing is the elephant in the room, which is the lack of an EVF on the R50V. If you're not familiar with what that is, it stands for electronic viewfinder, and it's that little eyepiece you look through to frame up your shots. For me, I hardly ever use it, even when taking photos, but for many photographers, it's a non-negotiable. And it can be extremely useful, especially when shooting in bright sunlight when the LCD screen isn't that visible. And speaking of the LCD screen, the R50V has a slightly lower quality LCD than the R50, so that's also worth noting. The next big advantage of the R50 is the body design. It feels a lot better in the hand due to the ergonomics. And this is a big deal for photographers, but for video, not as much. That being said, as a video shooter myself, I do prefer the body of the R50 over the R50V. But here's the thing. The R50 is a hybrid camera, so it's supposed to be good at photo and video. So for me, it's kind of disappointing that Canon released the R50V without at least updating the R50 with some of these video features through firmware. Even if they would charge 50 bucks for it and only include C-Log and 10-bit color, I think a lot of people would prefer that instead of having to choose between these two cameras. Price-wise, both cameras are pretty much neck to neck, coming in at 650 bucks for the body alone and 850 for the kit lens combo. But personally, I'd skip the kit lens and instead go for the mica ND filter adapter because it gives you internal ND, and you can also purchase a CPL and a a black mist filter. And this makes your camera operate more like a cinema camera. But the catch is that it only works with EF and EFS lenses. But for me, that's okay. I prefer EF lenses anyway because most RF lenses are focused by wire. And I prefer lenses with mechanical focus because this gives you precision control when rack focusing or pulling focus, which are two of the most used techniques in filmmaking. In my opinion, one of the best APS-C lenses ever made is the Sigma 18-35 f1.8. Pairing this lens with a camera like the R50V or the R50 gives you footage that can compete with some cinema cameras. I also really like the EFS 10-18mm from Canon because it has optical image stabilization, is only $299 and is wide enough for vlogging. The 14-30mm kit lens isn't quite wide enough to vlog with, so for me, it's not really worth the extra $200. So all of that considered, which camera should you buy? The way I look at it, you should get the R50V if you're primarily a video shooter that wants to professionally color grade your footage, you hardly ever use a viewfinder, and you shoot mostly in controlled lighting situations. You should get the original R50 if photography is equally or more important to you than video. Also, if you shoot a lot of outdoor stuff in bright conditions, you shoot a lot of handheld and ergonomics are important to you, and you rarely need recordings longer than an hour. I left links in the description to both cameras, the ND filter adapter, all the lenses I mentioned, and other gear that I find useful. Now keep in mind that the camera you choose is important, but there's two other things that are going to impact your results more than the camera itself. The first one is your skills. So make sure to smash the like button and subscribe to the channel because I have all sorts of videos that you can watch that are going to teach you the skills that you need. The second thing that's going to impact your results are professional tools that every videographer and photographer needs. And that's why you should watch this video next, where I talk about 7 must-have items for your Canon R50V and your Canon R50. I appreciate you watching to the end, and I'll see you in the next one. It's Full Line Creative signing out. Peace.